Right then, Saxo fans, on to some more top end stuff. I know you're probably getting a bit sick of this now, but obviously it is more involved than what you think. And I do want to get everything ready so this whole assembly can essentially get bolted straight onto the engine when the engine's ready. Now in my book here, I have a list of things that need doing just to the top end. It's all lots and lots of little jobs. So nothing significantly difficult or anything like that. It's all pretty straightforward. But they all need doing. So we're going to work through them in this particular episode. So somebody kindly pointed out in the previous video that I'm not going to bolt everything to the cylinder head and have it as a complete assembly ready to bolt on, because it's going to be far too heavy. So what I am going to do is just whip the intake manifold off. And I didn't say this in the last episode, but the bolts I used were too long anyway, so it's not tight anyway. So I'm going to pull that off. And then there's a couple of jobs we can do to this straight away. And there's a few things that I've already changed that the eagle-eyed among you will spot. So I have here a Spooks throttle body adapter. So I've been talking about this for a little while. They are quite expensive essentially for what they are, but they do the job really well. And I've got my billet thermostat housing here. I need to put the thermostat in it, which is why it's currently loose. So first things first, let's get the intake manifold off and we'll do a couple of bits to that. Right, one of the first things we're going to do is just to pop a lifting eye on. So this was the original one that came with the engine. It was all rusty and nasty with paint flaking off and all that kind of stuff. So it's had the treatment through the blaster and through the plating tanks. Okay, nice and easy, that one. Right, next on the list then is to sort out this particular breather that's sat here on the intake manifold. So on the original Saxo, you also had a breather that tied up straight to the cam cover here. In fact, I'll grab it and you can see. So this is the original Saxo manifold. This breather here, little hose, straight to that one there. Now, this has got a replica over here. It's in a slightly different position, so I'd have to sort of snake it round. But rather than doing that, I'm actually just going to get rid of it completely. I'm going to run a fancy breather setup on these cam covers anyway, so I don't think I'm going to need this. So I'm going to block it off and just get rid of this. So in order to do that, to block this off, there's a couple of things we need to do. Let's move this as well. First of all, we need to get this out. Now, I've already prepared and remove this, so it's just sat in there loose. Now that's just essentially a push fit in there. Obviously it's very, very tight, but yeah, it comes out with a set of mole grips on it, pretty straightforward. Next thing to do is to drill this out and tap it. Now I have a bolt here that is, again, already plated, ready to go. It's an M10. M8 is, this hole's already too big for an M8, so I'm going to take it out to an M10. So what I'll do is I'll get my drill and tap set on that. We'll drop this in with a copper washer on it, so hopefully it doesn't leak, and that'll block that off. Right, next thing on the list is the throttle. So I took this throttle down to a guy called Steve at Sprint Engines, and I wanted him just to give it a little bit of a fettle, really. I didn't want to go away from the standard throttle because I don't think I really need to. But yeah, I didn't want to just put a standard throttle on it. So I asked him just to give it a little bit of a fettle. So essentially anywhere there was sort of excess material that didn't need to be there, he's taken that out, especially on the ridges here along the side. If you compared this to a standard one, these would protrude a lot more. The casting for the idle control bit here, he's made that much more knife edged on the edge here. And then taken quite a lot of material out the back, because normally this sort of bulges right up and over. So he's taken quite a lot out of there, and then obviously giving it a little bit of a polish. So I've had that back, and obviously I've given it a good clean, given it a paint. It basically looks brand new, so she's ready to go. So we're going to rebuild this now. I've got everything I need, bar 2 screws or 2 bolts to actually bolt the butterfly to the shaft in the middle, but I'm going to pick them up later on, but I can put them in at any point. So yeah, let's get this rebuilt, shall we? Right, last step then is to put the throttle blade back in. So it goes in a particular orientation. So these aren't a perfect rectangle if you took it in a cross section. They are actually like a parallelogram, I think it is, if my school maths recalls me. Anyway, so I need to put this in the right orientation. So probably be a little bit of a fiddle, and I don't have the screws to go back in here, but it will certainly sit in place and it won't move until I put them in. So yeah, nice and easy to do afterwards. Well, yeah, I just pause it there because it was really difficult to get in and it took me a couple of minutes. So I haven't put the screws back in, but to make sure that it is all centered and sealing properly, we'll just actually use the spring to flick it. And that feels really good to me. So you see the holes now line up nicely. When the throttle's open, it's got a little bit of a knife edged on there, but not a lot. Yeah, job's a good one. Happy with that. Okay, that's the throttle built. Like I say, I just need to add in the 2 screws on the throttle blade itself, but there's nothing stopping me from doing that at a later date. They're all accessible. I promise I won't forget. So now it's just time to bolt the actual throttle to the Spooks throttle adapter. Right, that's all done now then. So I haven't done these up properly. They're not torqued. They're just nipped up. I will end up putting some sealer in between the adapter plate and the throttle. The reason I'm not doing that now is because I've got to make the cable bracket holder for the throttle, and it's likely at some point I'm probably going to have to take the throttle off just to move things around and check and stuff like that. So I'll do the sealant at a later date, but yeah, obviously it's just 3 bolts, nice and easy. So anyway, on to the next thing. Right, on to the next problem on the list. So as you can see, I've just popped the cam covers on here. Yeah, they're not bolted down. So I want to run a twin breather setup, a bit like the C2 rocker covers did. They had ports coming out of the inside here, sort of teed off, and then off to the breather system. The Saxo's obviously got a breather here. Now I'd like to replicate that with a breather here as well, which is fine, nice and easily done. Just need to weld on the appropriate stub. The problem I've got is that the MSD ignition system that my car came with, and something I'm actually going to keep, something I'm keeping from the car, which was desirable, came with a bracket that fits it here, which is obviously going to sit right where I want to put the stub for the breather. So I need to figure out a way to move this. So what I'm thinking is to put this somewhere in the middle. Now I just need to create a bracket somehow. So we need a bit of CAD, cardboard aided design, to come up with a bracket, and then we can make it up. So let's get some old cereal box and cut it up and come up with an idea. Right, I'm just going to pause the fabrication there because I'm waiting for my swage tool to turn up. Essentially, I'm just going to put some nice dimple dyed holes in there, and then this is all going to come off and we're going to paint it. And obviously I will plate all of the hardware that's going to be used, and of course clean up the coil pack and everything like that. But that's basically it for now. It's anchored off the 3 points. It's going to avoid the new boss here that's going to go on for breather system. So that's basically done. I'll set this to one side, and the next thing is to put the thermostat in. Right, bit of a leap forward there. The bracket's all done, it's all painted, it's all bolted on. I didn't want to show you the painting, you've seen that stuff before, you don't need to see me do that. But yeah, essentially it's bolted here, here, and up the top in the middle. And then this, which I'm not going to bolt in place just yet because it needs a proper good clean, will obviously just sit on there. Obviously goes to the spark plugs, which are not fitted yet either. So that's how it's going to be. Hopefully that looks good and hopefully it's strong enough, but yeah, time will tell on that. So the next thing to do then is address the cam covers, and for that I have made a purchase, so let me show you that. Right, cam covers. These are the original ones that came with my Saxo engine obviously fitted to the car. Someone has obviously modified this particular breather stub, because I think the standard ones, they come out at 90 degrees and come this way and then they sort of loop round to the airbox. So that's already been modified in the past. So my plan was to cut this off, put an AN fitting of a particular size on there, get this welded up and replicate another AN fitting here. So I was just about to start getting in touch with my guy who does aluminium welding for me, when these popped up for sale. So I picked them up. Essentially, they've got the two AN10 fittings in that I wanted, in the cam cover that I wanted. Obviously these are the original Saxo cam covers. This one's obviously a bit dirty and horrible because I've just started blasting it. But they already came in like a black crinkled coat, which, to be honest, is okay, but you can just see it's got a few marks on there, and obviously I want it to be right, so I'll give them a good clean up. But I'm really happy with those because it saves me having to do this, and additionally the stub here with the breather that normally goes up to where the throttle is has already been blanked off as well. So that saves me doing a load of work and requesting and buying fittings and requesting welding and all that kind of stuff. So that's going to save me a job, but I will show you how this avoids the coil pack once it's finished blasting, because obviously I don't want to get sand into the head for obvious reasons. So the next job really is to get these blasted. Let's do that. There we go, then first cam cover through the blaster. So we can actually have a quick look at the welding now. Yeah, it looks pretty good to me. It's not exactly stacking dimes, as the Americans say, but yeah, it looks okay. No issues from me on that point of view. So this obviously needs to go through the hot wash and yeah, be painted and do all the usual stuff. I need to do the same for this one, but I do need to strip out this breather plate in here first, obviously because I don't want to get sand in there that I won't ever be able to get out. So let's strip that one out and then we'll blast the other one. Right, now this is really interesting and I am really glad I stripped these apart. So as you know, I bought these cam covers in the condition that they're in. Having taken these two breather plates out from in here, I can actually see that this has been sandblasted in the past. And in here is lots and lots of sandy oil. So potentially whoever maybe ran these cam covers in the past, if you had an engine failure, that might be why. So yeah, obviously I'm going to give this a really good clean out after I've blasted it and give it the full treatment, so there will be nothing left. But yeah, I'm really glad I've done this. So if you, those of you who are just thinking, oh, I'll just block it up, block the hole, yeah, don't, definitely don't. It's worth taking these out. You saw how quick it was. Take them apart, do it properly. There we go then, Saxo fans. Cam covers are painted. So I went for the red crinkle cut. I think it just looks really nice, offsets against all the silver and the black bits that we've got going on. And obviously all the gold, yellow passivate, zinc plated stuff will look really good against it. So there is a few other things I did in the background. I've done the injector harness, which I'll pop a picture on the screen of what it looked like before and after. Just tidied it up a little bit. And then also I have cleaned up all of the coil pack and all that kind of stuff, yeah, so I made it look tidy and it's all good to go. I'm just going to get some nice clips to hold the cables together. As I say, cam covers are all still now, they're out the oven, still very warm, just sat there. They need to cure for a couple of days now, so I'll leave them where they are. Next thing to do is to get all the exhaust studs and all that kind of stuff in. I need to run a couple of shorter ones in the middle here. And then in the next episode we're going to turn our attention to the turbo and the manifold. So that's for next time. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you again.